All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Off Camber podcast, episode 8. Welcome back, Ishane.
Thanks
Pleasure
for
to,
having me.
pleasure to have you on. All right. So, this is our 8th episode dissecting the Japanese Grand Prix, which was an interesting weekend. So, let's get straight into it. Initially, what are your thoughts on the Verstappen dub?
Well, I called it. If you watch episode 7, I called a Max win.
Yep.
Don't worry about the podium predictions, though, because I got that.
It was way off.
Yeah, I was 16 seconds off the
It was
pace.
way off.
Yeah.
All right.
Can't win them all.
Yeah, of course. So overall, it was a bit of a boring storyline for the masses. I think everyone sort of was.
Don't think Netflix will be covering this one.
No, it was not a super engaging race, we could say, the least. But I felt like it was still something that you can still get around at least. Like, what do you think about like watchability in terms of races like that? For you, at least.
I'd say it was a very impressive drive from Max to not put a single foot wrong
Yeah.
the whole race distance.
Yep.
Obviously, they didn't get much testing either because the track kept being set on fire
Yeah.
by the cars.
True.
yeah.
So let's go through, okay, let's take a step back. We'll go through the weekend as a whole, and then we'll talk more specifically about the race so we can get some structure going here, all right? So, practice, just like you mentioned, we had the fires, grass fires. Do you want to talk a bit about that? What's the go there?
Well, it was just it was a sparks getting caught in the wind and then blown onto dry grass, which you mix sparks and grass,
Yep.
causes a fire.
Yeah. 100% agreed. So that was a bit of an annoyance. I think obviously we come to Japan this year at a different time of year, so that may have had something to do with it. Apparently, the commentators are talking about how it's a bit drier than usual. So don't know.
I think Japan would have been the 3rd race last season, maybe 4th early in the year.
My memory doesn't go back that far.
Yeah.
So all good. And then we had Jack Doohan's big shunt, of course. Huge into T1.
50G
Absolutely
again, I
huge.
think.
No, I didn't say that, but yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. It was sort of a similar sort of velocity. It was a similar sort of velocity, so it was a hard hit. And I mean, we're not going to speculate on exactly what happened. Supposedly, they reviewed it internally, but TC saying, I mean, come on, if Doohan. If Doohan shut off the DRS, they would have surely said that.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I'm not saying that for sure, but you sort of get that feeling. If they did, they'd say that. You know what I mean? They'd say that. So, that's sort of where I'm at, right? Why would they not say if it wasn't his fault? So, but then again, you also can't blame him because obviously a rookie.
Yeah.
And this is also what they were talking about on the broadcast is when you got all this time in the simulator and you're making up these habits and you're not doing that, perhaps.
Comes out in the real thing.
Comes out in the real world. And that's potentially what had happened, which is a bit of a setback for him. And now the rumours obviously are starting with him and Colapinto back up again after that. So I'm disappointed for him, but hopefully he can have a good bounce back in Bahrain up next. So what can I say? It was a hard impact. But the point I have on that is actually, why don't tracks like Suzuka, where the DRS zone is before a corner that doesn't require braking, why is there not a cutoff?
An automatic shut off.
Yeah, well, yeah. So, like, the brakes obviously cancel the DRS normally for drivers, but why isn't there, say, before Suzuka's turn 1, which is a roll-off in race conditions.
I didn't actually know
In
that.
quali, they go full.
Yeah.
In quali, they go full. I'm pretty sure. So why is that not a cutoff of like, let's say, 80 meters before the corner? You know, all drivers when they go through, they just get the DRS cancelled, so that there's no risk of anything like that happening. So it's like sort of a bit like that should be standardized, I reckon, for stuff like that. But what do you think?
Things like that, I feel like they always throw the argument out saying, oh, they're the best drivers in the world, shouldn't need it to be automated.
Yeah.
You see both sides of it, I guess.
Yeah, fair enough.
He's like, no one else had that issue. It's just him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's pretty horrific when it happens.
Yeah.
So
it'd be even worse if that had nothing to do with it as well.
Yeah.
Just throwing it.
Yeah. Nah. So that was sort of the main two storylines, I guess, in practice.
Yeah.
They were also talking a lot about the wind directions, whether there was a tailwind or a headwind going through the S's and stuff. But I don't think that really had an impact on anyone's sort of race, because at the end of the day, whether there's a headwind or a tailwind, all the drivers are going through the same thing. So if there's a headwind, maybe they've got more aero through the S's, for example, if there's a headwind going through the S's, as opposed to a tailwind, stuff like that. But if it's in a race scenario, they've all got the same thing. So it doesn't really matter. Qualifying, got Russell, again, outperforming his Mercedes. He's doing excellent.
He's always there.
Yeah, he's always there.
He's always there.
Hajar.
Highlight of the Saturday.
Oh, the Saturday highlight. Yeah. Hajar. The gonads were out of place.
Seatbelt. It was so painful.
Oh, imagine like pulling 5G on your left nut.
With the gonads. Yeah.
And I reckon every bloke felt him when they had that shot of him going in the car when the engineer was trying to help him, and you could just see him just grimacing. That looked fucking awful.
I want to know how it happened, because nothing in China, nothing in Australia.
The sun just played up.
For the wrong seatbelt out for him.
Just played up on him.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be and shout of the weekend. Saturday shout of the weekend. Ted Kravitz wondering whether he's got boxes or Y fronts. What the fuck are Y fronts?
Get an image on your post.
Like, I think as soon as you hear that, you get an automatic image of Y fronts. Apparently, that's what we're fucking calling him.
Must be what they're called in the UK.
Yeah. Well, you won't catch me ever saying that. That's for sure.
What if they had Yuki's seatbelt? It was a bit smaller.
Yeah, true. They've kept Yuki's. No, but different car. That would have affected Lawson. Yuki's gonads. They didn't cut the mustard. So let's move on. All right. So qualifying, and then obviously Verstappen and the McLarens were pretty much the main story going into the race.
Yep.
So Max Verstappen, he's pulled one out of the bag.
Put it on pole without a purple sector.
Stuck it on pole. Piastri, look, he had it in the bag. I don't know what happened. Obviously, he made an error at turn 2, they were saying, and he fucking royally fucked it. And that was disappointing, because the McLarens definitely were the runway car. And Verstappen's just gone and proved why he's the best still.
Yeah, why he's still the best.
Still the best. He's pulled a Red Bull car that was clearly slower than the McLarens to pole position on a Saturday. So Norris just seemed comfortable, stable, but wasn't quick enough. So Piastri had the lap time in him, but obviously made a mistake. So that was sort of, the storylines there. Lawson got out of Q1. Tsunoda did all right as well, but not good enough, I'd say. What do you reckon about Tsunoda?
Getting outdone by Lawson.
Yeah.
It's rough, but New car.
Yeah,
New car for Lawson as
Fair
well.
enough.
So,
Yep. And then you move on to the race, which was at the old slow burner for everyone in the UK and Europe, obviously, because it was for them it was like a 1 a.m. race or some shit. For us, it was sweet. We were watching in the afternoon, and
3 p.m.
We were cruising. We were just kicking back. So I think for these types of races, it's sort of more tailored to diehard fans rather than the casuals. I think you'd say. Like,
yeah, well,
everyone's sort of saying boring race, which I can agree. But you're talking about like three of the best drivers in the world for how many laps is it? 53 laps, I think.
Yep.
53 laps, right? And every lap is the same. Every lap for an hour and a half. That is like freaking incredible. Like, and for the whole race, they're within 1.5 seconds, 2 seconds. You know, I think obviously after Norris tried to get around Verstappen, it drew out a bit, but he pulled back. And the finishing gaps, 1.4 to Norris, 2.1 to Piastri. I mean, that's
three
nuts.
cars finishing within 3 seconds of each other.
Nuts, you know, from where they all come from. They're two completely different cars, and to finish like that, I think is always something to be excited about. So, good race there on that count of things. That makes no sense, that.
Good race on that count.
But that's all right.
You also said at the start, this is the 8th episode talking about Suzuka.
Yeah. But, you know, they get what I mean. So,
yeah.
And then we have so what were we up to? McLaren strategy. A lot of the talk about was how they should have perhaps chased a win rather than preventing losing a double podium. What's your take on that? What's your take on the constructors and the drivers compared to one another, sort of thing? Like McLaren, you know, are they making the right call?
I think these calls, because they're still relatively new to winning and they're still new to success.
Yep.
So I feel like it's going to take them a while to go, all right, when this happens, we have to do this.
Yeah.
Makes sense why they went the safe option and went, all right, let's just secure the double podium instead of maybe having, you know, we release Oscar.
Yep.
Oscar tries something, DNFs.
Yeah. But I guess it also like they're like almost like protecting that, you know, because they don't want to lose. Yeah. But then it's like, surely in this scenario, you've clearly got the pace to, I feel like, try something different.
Yeah.
Like we saw with how Mercedes ran Kimi long as shit, and that paid off. He almost chased George Russell down by the end of the race, right? So what if they ran Piastri longer and gave him fresher tyres at the end of the race? I feel like in that position, when you're not risking that podium anyway, like Piastri staying out long, maybe, you know, it doesn't work out, he still gets third. So, like, I feel like you've got to try something different in that situation.
It's the whole thing of,
yeah.
Are you trying to win or are you trying not to lose?
Yeah, and that's what happened, right? They tried not to lose, and they didn't lose, but they took the most points for the weekend, but they didn't get the win, and they definitely had the car to win. And who knows, once these changes come into effect, whether they're still going to have the fastest car and whether they're still going to be able to win but run away with and have the pace in races later on in the season. So they got to capitalize on the ones that they do.
The drive is now really close. I think it's like a 2-point gap.
1 point. So it's Verstappen down. It's 62 to 61. And there's been 4 different race winners for 4 different races.
Yeah.
So,
and in terms of a driver's championship, you're one team who wants to play it safe and the other team's willing to take that risk.
Exactly. And you know, 100%. And this is what I always thought about McLaren before they had this rise, right? Like sort of 2021, 2020, when they were sort of starting to bag podiums and shit. Whenever there was a scrap, they were there and trying to take positions, take bold strategies to move up the order. And that's sort of like how they got their podiums and stuff like that. And now they've got to this winning position, but they don't have that same, it's like they're parking the bus to prevent losing. which is strange. I think they got to try and do more. Old Mark Webber might fucking give him a kick up the arse. um, but yeah, they got to try and do more to actually win races because Verstappen, once Verstappen gets in front, he's not going to give up that race. Like we've seen that many times before. So also Ollie Behrman, he ended up
I think another points
10th.
finish.
Yep, another points finish, as well as Albon. Hajar was second best of the Red Bulls. So it looks like he got over that gonad issue.
Yeah.
And he did extremely well. Alonso, another 11th, failed to get points. And yeah, so it was a real, slow burner. Green flag all the way. No safety car. Thankfully, we didn't have any fires on the track, which was good. Leclerc ran a good race. George Russell still always there. He's consistent. And Hamilton was sort of there. He did make up a position on Hajar. I think he was the only one in the top 10 that changed positions, I believe. 11 out of the 20 drivers finished where they started, which is pretty freaking remarkable. And then this was sort of the next discussion with the Japan Grand Prix itself is they ran the C1, C2, and C3, and the drivers were able to push 100% most of the race, right? So it sort of alleviated that tyre management to where perhaps there could have been overtakes. So I guess people have been saying, should we move to that C2, C3, C4 tyre so that there's more, tyres?
Go to a softer compound that lasts
essentially
less time.
Softer compound, more tyre wear, more strategy. Perhaps there's more chance of a two-stop. Because I feel like, so Norris was close, right? But you come down the main straight with DRS, you don't get close enough, and then through the S's, you're just in dirty air.
Yeah.
So, that was the whole race.
We saw with Oscar as well in Lando's dirty air.
Exactly. You're just fighting the whole lap to get back into that position, and then you come down the main straight, oh shit, you're not close enough, go through the S's again. You're down, 1.5 seconds by the end of the S's into the Degners.
Yeah.
What a corner, by the way. What a corner. So, yeah, that was sort of my takeaways. I think that's where it's like China. Everyone's bagging China, but that was a time management race, and that was good. So I guess that's where it can, when you have a track like Suzuka, the Japanese Monaco, as they're calling it, maybe a time management spanner in the works type situation could cause that change of positions.
Bring back the hypersofts.
Bold strategy. Well, so that's what they're doing in Monaco. They get C6 this year. There's a C6, and that's only going to be used in Monaco. So
will it still be red? Yeah, it has to be.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Bring back the pink.
Yeah, the pink hypersofts like back in the day. So yeah, the only other thing I had down for the race was so they sat in dirty air the whole race, and the last point was Albon fucking had a bit of a rile up on the radio. Did you hear that?
Gave it to him, yeah.
Just gave it to him, mate.
Xbox Live
Local
party chat.
Spray, Call of Duty lobby. He freaking gave it to him. But to be fair, he finished in the points.
Yep.
So I don't know if he earned that spray, but he did finish in the points, so that was good from him.
Well, he's doing good things for him, so
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
I feel like
Signs.
if you're an engineer in F1 and you're taking it personally,
Yeah.
you're not in the right career.
100%. Signs, average. I'm not picking him fucking driver of the day for a while, mate. That's for sure. Predictions. So I'll go over mine and Shane will go over his. All right. So my pole position was Norris. Didn't happen. Did not happen. Don't think he would have had the pace. If it was going to be a McLaren, it probably would have been Piastri. So that was a L. Piastri for winner. I had Piastri for winner. Obviously, probably had the pace, but given the race and how it played out, didn't end up happening. Class drive, Sonoda backed him in his home turf. And he did beat Lawson, but Lawson was still struggling. So.
That's the highest the second Red Bull car's finished this year.
There you go.
Glass is always half full.
To be fair, I'll give it to Sonoda. He looked good. I don't reckon the race and quality reflected how he was going in practice and stuff. I feel like he was
quick on Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, he was up there. So that's not something we've seen from the Red Bull.
And they were talking that he took a high downforce setup.
Yes, correct.
And yeah, his pace on the Friday, Saturday didn't come through on Sunday.
No. So,
another one is like Ferrari from China.
Exactly. So I'm keen to see what he does this week, Bahrain. So that was that. And then my run wide was Leclerc, another fail because he ran a good race. He actually ran an excellent race.
Yep.
To be fair to him.
Best of the rest.
Best of the rest.
Yep.
Best of the rest. The best being the top three, the rest being the rest.
So is he your class drive this week?
No.
And you know why? You know why I'm asking.
I don't freaking know. I mean, he's just like, well, we got to wait till next episode for that. But I feel like every time I've said something, it just goes the opposite way. And before I started this, I was like, fuck yeah, I reckon I can predict and shit. Like, I reckon I'm pretty good. Now, I'm eating my words every single week. Anyway, that's me. Shane, let's hear yours, mate.
Alrighty. So I picked Max to win. He won.
Yep, that was. Sorry, can I interrupt you one more time?
Yep.
I did call McLaren double podium.
You did.
So I'll take that one win.
Mm-hmm.
All right, keep going.
I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
Because I kind of fall off here. I had
he falls off hard.
Piastri pole.
Yep.
Came close.
But you know what though? I rate that because he had the pace. Realistically,
he
I
did.
reckon it was him. It was him if he didn't make that error.
Yeah.
But here we are.
I had Leclerc class drive.
Yep.
He's done pretty well.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
That is excellent.
But then I think I had Russell and Leclerc on the podium. I said no McLaren.
Verstappen, Leclerc, and Russell.
Yeah. Forgot about a whole outfit.
Yeah. So that was poor, but we acknowledged it at the time.
Yep.
So
am I the first one to get a prediction right on this podcast?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh no. Manul, in his China.
Yeah.
China predicted Piastri to pole.
Oh.
Sorry, the second.
Yep.
You're not the first.
It was a hard pick though. Verstappen doesn't have the best car.
Yeah. Like I'll give you that. It is a harder pick, but you're not the first. So that's the predictions for the Japanese Grand Prix. And yeah, I mean that's all we've got really. That was a exciting weekend for me personally. I think overall for Formula One, probably not as exciting as they want it to be, but that's the way motorsport is. Sometimes green flag racing is good racing, and that's my takeaway.
These slow and safe Grand Prix.
Slow and safe Grand Prix, mate. Green flag racing is good racing. That's how it is for me. So I'll always enjoy that because it's just the best drivers gone lap for lap within 2/10 of it, 2/10 of their last lap every single time. And that's top notch. So that is all my takeaways. Shane, have you got anything else before we sign off?
No, I don't.
No?
We saw the
the
Carlos Sainz toilet incident.
Yes.
Costly error. Missed the anthem.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I read he was seeing a doctor.
I read he was actually doing a Kimi Räikkönen from back in the days. I was having a shit.
Carlos Sainz.
Yeah.
Having a bog. He was having a bog. He couldn't find the bog roll.
Yeah.
And he missed the anthem and he's fined €20,000.
Yeah, so what's that? 36,000 Australian?
That's fucked up, mate. That's fucked up. I mean, if he was seeing a doctor, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
He shouldn't be fined for
Did he
that.
bring a note?
He needs a medical certificate.
Should have brought a note.
Yeah. Maybe. Maybe he's got one and he's producing it. But we'll see. If he was taking his shit, though, good on him. Because I hope it was worth it.
Yeah.
But, all good from Sainz. Hopefully he has a better weekend for Bahrain. You got anything else? Anything else to sort
Nah,
of? No, nothing else.
no.
Nothing else. All right, we'll end it there. Thanks for watching Off Camber episode 8. We will see you very shortly. We're going to squeeze in the predictions at the end of the week, right before the Bahrain Grand Prix. Probably after practice, we'll get the
You want to
predictions
see
out.
some data first?
Well, I don't know. Well, I don't need to see data to predict what's going to happen, but we're just crunched for time, mate. We're just crunched for time. Even this is a bit late, so we'll get that out, and we'll get keen for the Bahrain GP. So thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you later in the week for the Bahrain Grand Prix. Ta buds.